What if you just put pipe tobacco in a cigarette and rolled it? What would happen?
You would enjoy yourself immensely, I think. Welcome back to the Men's Adventure Fiction Podcast. We are here once again, an early morning recording, getting to talk men's adventure. Nothing better than that. How are you doing this morning, brother?
Doing well. Having a good week so far. Even though it's very early on of the week, I'm feeling good about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Last week I had one of those classic weeks where it's Tuesday and you're like, I just could have sworn it was Thursday. I thought for sure, you know, and that is not what you want. So this week feels like the day is the day that it actually is. So that's a good sign. And I'm feeling ready to talk men's adventure fiction. We're talking tobackies, right? So this is kind of your bread and butter where we always have good conversations. You always lead me to something new. Like I think last time is when you taught me about Rip Kirby.
Yeah.
Which is like
I was thinking about that too. I'm trying to remember who I talked about. Dude, and you were out there living the adventure life, actually doing some stogie smoking yesterday, right?
Yeah, with Casey and his brother Caden, we had some steaks and then cigars, and like you said, I mean that is glorious. All an adventure man needs in his life. It's just steaks and cigars. What did we do? So I felt very good, and there was a fire involved. We were around a fire, so. Very manly evening for the Monday, you know? I liked it.
Yeah, dude. Steaks and stogies. There's maybe no better pairing in the entire world. So that's for sure the way to spend the night. And hopefully after this episode, you'll be inspired to do the same sort of thing, whether it's with a stogie, a pipe, or a cigarette. Although maybe not the cigarette.
Unless it's a rolled cigarette.
Yeah, dude, then for sure do it. Rock that.
What if you just put pipe tobacco in a cigarette and rolled it? What would happen?
You would enjoy yourself immensely, I think. I'm not good at rolling, but I remember one time, dude, I used to regularly train people all the time at work, and we're towards the end of the day. We have like 10 stops left, which is not very many, and next thing you know, the van breaks down. And we're like way out in the countryside. So someone comes and picks up the trainee because the vans only have 2 spots. So I'm just stuck there with this other van for like an hour.
He'd leave you there.
Yeah. And so it was a nice, like warmer day. And I sat down on the back of the van and I was like, as happy I've got my pipe with me. And next thing you know, I did not have a pipe with me, but I had a bunch of pipe tobacco. So I did not have any rolling papers either. So I literally grabbed just a piece of paper, ripped that to about cigarette size, put some tobacco in there, rolled it up, gave it an old lick, and then lit it up and just sat there. That's awesome. It was one of the peakest moments ever. Just like
it's kind of legit right there.
Yeah, I've never rolled a cigarette before, and to know that I could actually do it when the chips were down, dude, and it was my only chance. Good stuff. So there you go. Roll your cigarettes with some pipe tobacco. It will be life changing. I think. Who should we dive into first? Which one? I can't remember what we did last time.
Yeah, I don't remember either, but I mean, we started with a cigar talk. If you want to roll into cigar guys, we can start with cigars. Into
stogies, dude. You want to go first?
Sure.
Cool.
I'll start us off with Tony Soprano was my pick this time for a classic cigar guy, and really you can interchange him with Tony Montana or probably. I can't remember, but I'm sure Michael Corleone or someone smokes a cigar at some point in that too.
Yeah,
it's like the gangster archetype with a cigar is a very good combo. I mean, Al Capone, like the real life gangster with the giant cigar kind of stuff. I don't know, it's like a level of disrespect that these guys bring of like, I don't care where I am, who's around, what's going on. I'm going to smoke the fattest cigar in front of you, and it's going to be all right. And it reminds me of the Arnold Schwarzenegger video. Have you ever seen that one where he's like, I smoke cigars wherever I want. I don't have to find a place to hide like you. And I'm just like the funniest, worst impression ever, but the funniest quote ever.
That's so funny.
And that's what I think the gangster cigar combo does. Is just like supreme confidence and supreme power move to just be Tony Tony Soprano with the longest cigar and just puffing in
Yeah, dude, that guy's
people's
got the
face.
big old ones.
It's great, and you see Tony Soprano on the golf course or in his car. Also, just seems like he's enjoying his life, enjoying the tobacco. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
with a good cigar, especially if you're someone like you who understands it and can like tell you more about it. There's a lot to enjoy, and it's kind of like fine wines or whiskeys for people.
dude.
Like, you can go deep in your love of cigars. It seems like these guys have that kind of elegance and appreciation. Don't do that.
Has some books fallen down. Yeah, dude, I think that's a great point. All of those talking points for sure, and also like kind of leads into the luxury side of it, which I think is really where cigars bread and butter has kind of worked. I think in the 90s was the cigar boom where like they came out with the Cigar Aficionado magazine where they were just highlighting like super wealthy people who smoke cigars. So to have that kind of like feather into the mafia thing, it is like the only negative is that it kind of like glorifies crime, which we're all about here at the Men's Adventure Fiction Podcast. It's not necessarily the big acts of crimes, but it's the small ones that keep the crime spirit alive within all of us. Which I digress. We don't actually want you to do a bunch of crime, but I think that that's kind of the negative, and that's what I don't know. I guess it's the FDA now because somehow the ATF has nothing to do with tobacco, and the FDA does. So it's I guess the Food and Drug Administration. So tobacco somehow falls under drugs, which is weird because ATF literally stands for alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, but they don't have any. Who knows? Who knows? Anyways, they have gotten really upset because it does seem like cigars are such a sign of like coolness and success that they're worried that that affects kids negatively. But we've talked about it before. I don't think that you have to be smoking, like according to a lot of reports, like 5 cigars a day for it really to start negatively affecting your health. And that's just insane. Like nobody has that sort of time except for Tony Soprano, because he's just rich as can be, and crime guy as can be. So, but I think that for sure, that whole idea, like you were saying, the element of disrespect and like, nah, I'm doing what I'm going to do. You can't stop me is a super cool thing about like cigars. Because it is like any sort of smoking in a positive light is really like against what the culture wants us to believe, I feel like at this point. So it's like just seeing somebody smoke, you're like, okay, well, you immediately are not like someone who conforms to the rules for better or for worse. And whenever it's a men's adventure fiction kind of guy, most of the time it's for better. Although we just talked about these guys are crime guys, so who knows?
In some of their cases, these gangster guys, for the worse for them in the end. But
right, great choice.
Overall, it goes back to I think this was a subby dubby that you've done on Substack about, of course, if people looked at me and they know my heart condition and health stuff, and they're like, why would you smoke? It's like, dude, am I going to just live in a bubble, dude? I'd rather just enjoy my life and, of course, take some of the risk on. And I think that was your Substack was like, yeah, you're never going to be able to, like, nix the negative effects of smoking fully. But again, like, what are you here for? Just to be safe and live the most, like, long life ever? Or are you going to try to enjoy it and maybe do things like rock climbing or smoking cigars every once in a while? Like, things that people would be like, well, that's dangerous. Why would you do? Well, because like I feel like that's a part of life. That's what feeds the joy inside of you. That's not, just worried about preservation and I got to make this last as long as possible.
Right. No one wants to live a long, miserable life. Like you gotta
enjoy yourself.
Have a good time. Right. I agree.
Who's your cigar guy? Unless you have another point you want to
No. I can jump right over to the cigar guy. I've got like 3 right on the forefront of my mind, and I'm not sure which one's best. But let's do Barney Ross from The Expendables. We haven't done him before, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. And that's a Stallone character, so that's
like super sick guy. I think that it's kind of like, man, there's something about him being like the head guy of the team, and that's not necessarily the aspect of like, he's the best guy. although he is for sure up there as the top guy. But the whole concept that we talked about whenever we did the putting the team together episode of like, I know a guy, like this guy knows enough guys who complement or surpass him in a certain aspect that he's able to put this team together and have the best army of mercenaries of all time, and a lot of the times you see him in the planning stages and the other stages, he's just sitting there smoking the stogie. And it's just so cool to see like kind of the stillness before the storm sort of thing. Like he is in there in the plotting and the planning and the figuring out. And of course, when that's happening, he's got the stogie with him. And I can't remember if he smokes like during any missions or anything like that, but it's kind of just like to have a man of such speed and action. I mean, he literally has the Colt single action revolver behind him where he does the quick draw stuff. So he's like, for sure, he's got the quick twitch, the able to move in a hurry thing, but at the same time, then he's taking his moments to sit to savor something that's a little excessive because he's got such a dangerous life already, So it's interesting that it's like in this world, the cigar is a sign of like safety and peace for him because he's got such a drastically dangerous life that he's never like, I need the cigar for a little danger in my life, but it's also like the interesting side of that too is like, oh man, even this guy's like peaceful hobbies still exude danger, and a little bit of like risk. So yeah, I don't know, that all combined into one character who is like this team leader, freaking sick dude. He's got the dual 1911s, bro, with the expendable symbol and the handles. That's too good.
Great character with great like costume design too. He's got like the flat caps and stuff going on sometimes, and he's got a cool look. And that movie, it frustrates me every time. I wish it was a little bit better. Dude. Just be a little bit better, and you could be peak. We'll have to do, I don't think we've done it yet, but we'll have to do an episode on the series at one point. They are just like almost the sickest thing ever, and then just drop the ball ever so slightly, dude, on the pacing, I guess. It seems to be like the bigger problem. But
I feel like we talked about it before, like kind of the editing and the cuts in general. It's like,
you're not giving some of them was wild.
The movie the chance to really like breathe and enjoy the things that you're there to enjoy. So, sorry. Anyways, you were saying.
Just going to go off your point of the first one, the boss man factor is like a cigar archetype in and of itself. Like Hannibal
that's a good point.
in the A-Team is their leader, and he has the big old cigar as well. It's like there is something to the boss man. It's probably gotten to be the guy with the cigar. Like if you're walking aboard anywhere, whoever has the tobacco might be the guy. If it's like find the big stogie, find the biggest stogie you can. That's the boss.
That's funny.
But so that reminded me of like Hannibal, and I'm sure if I racked my brain, there's other bosses. And I gave Tony Soprano as the boss on his side of things. It is a very boss guy move to be the cigar guy. And then I like that slowing down and enjoying portion. I think that's a thing that Expendables, I can say, is something that gets really right, and something I do like a lot is its emphasis on brotherhood and true friendship. I feel like Stallone's always just been crushing the friendship storylines, dude.
I think
because he did Apollo and Rocky. It's like he understood and understands the way that dudes have to have each other's backs and what like male friendship looks like. And the scenes where they're just hanging around the bar, smoking the cigars, they're drinking, they're doing friendly competitions, like who can throw this further or faster, or more accurately. That he really understands male camaraderie. And the cigar, the brother of the leaf thing, I think is what you said it was last time. Like there's a big thing about that. If you anywhere you go, if you pull out a cigar and if someone else smokes cigars, you are now friends for the most part. I've seen it happen. I've been on the end of that, where someone had cigars out and then they end up giving me one and we start talking. It's like an instant connection.
Yeah, I agree. I think the idea of like in a world where so many people are like just fed to be anti-tobacco no matter what, you have an ally in anyone who is smoking anything, there you go. You know what's up. Because I think that's the thing that these two characters for sure get to is like you can only eat so much before you need to stop eating, where you're literally like full, or if you eat more, you're going to end up becoming out of shape, getting overweight, all of that stuff. So to have a whole new avenue with cigars of like a flavor experience, I guess, for a lack of a better word, that has no caloric effect. And like we said, the health risks are sort of there, sort of not. It's up to you to decide that by doing research and stuff. But to be just able to sit and take the time and savor the taste and savor like the texture of the smoke, it's something that so many people don't even know is like a viable option. Like you brought up wine and all sorts of other different like alcohol. Like it's the same sort of thing of there's people who haven't done that who aren't understanding so many different things that other people can understand who have, or same thing like with if you really get into kind of like tasting notes in coffee, if you're getting really like premium coffee that has like hints of, I don't know, cashew or whatever the heck it is,
right? This is my blueberry coffee. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. You're able to let me get a sip of that. Which all of this does get into like a little pretentiousness, but at the same time, it's like, man, if I can eating food, dude. You were talking about a steak. I just have rent-free. Yeah. My wife's birthday was not that long ago, and we got some freaking fantastic ribeyes, dude. That's just always on my mind, Just thinking about eating a nice, perfectly salted, perfectly cooked ribeye. Oh, too good. So then
steak is so good. What are we doing?
Yeah, what are we doing? To get to pair that with the idea of like, oh, I could do that when I'm not eating too, and smoke a really good cigar, and I can just smoke and enjoy the flavors and the aroma. Like, yeah, dude, I'm in. What are we doing there? Like it's so sick. So I think that's whole kind of mindset shift that people don't really get.
Dude, you hang around a cigar bar for many reasons. One is you learn those types of things from people, make those friendships. But two, dude, like I wrote something on Substack about that. It's like the cigar bar was a legendary experience as far as being able to just read in that environment, and like you can like your phone just completely vanishes for those who are like, I'm on my phone too much. To go to a cigar bar with a book and a friend, or one or the other or both, dude, you're not going to look at that phone. You're going to be in a deep conversation, or you're going to be deep in the book. It feels like just like a prime environment for like using your brain and you're really locking into a connection over just like stimulation. I really like the cigar bar and need to return immediately.
I think so. I think so.
Does that cap off our cigar boys?
I think so, dude. I could give a quick stogie recommendation.
Please do.
Just for you guys to. You got all fired up about the stogies, and you're like, well, now I got to figure out what to smoke. Check out the Oliva Black Swan. So it's not Olivia, it's Oliva, and then the Black Swan. I got a box of these when I first published Treasure Is My Trade, the first book published. I think it was like $50-$60 for 10 of them on cigarpage.com. So you can get these for pretty inexpensive, and they're really high quality cigars for like $6 a stick. Fantastic. Nice. They have like subtle sweetness. They kind of have like an overarching sort of chocolatey flavor, and the smoke is texture wise like pretty creamy. Now the sweetness and the chocolate flavors are very like obviously subtle. They're like just, I think someone described tasting notes as sort of like a memory of a flavor, which is an interesting to think about. So you may smoke and be like, this tastes like smoke, and you're probably right. It does for sure taste like smoke. But the longer you smoke cigars, the more you pay attention, the more you worry about like not eating something super spicy or something like super flavorful to the point that it washes out your taste buds before you'll start to get different sort of things playing across your taste buds. Not, like I said, nothing's going to be like you're going to smoke something like, man, this tastes just like a chocolate bar. And never eat chocolate again.
For chocolate bars?
Yeah.
That's great.
After you smoke it, you just eat the nub.
Yeah. This tastes like poop, dude. I thought you said this had... you're not supposed to bite it, guy.
You would also probably die, so don't do that.
If you ate a cigar, you would die? You think so?
My dad would always tell me that he had a friend who would say, You give me 1 cigar and 3 cups of water, and I can kill everybody in this prison. And I was like, bro, what is the context of this? Like, what, who's in prison? Is this true? But yeah, tobacco is like actually super, super dangerous. So
interesting. I want to eat a cigar just to find out.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that was the
what's
last
crazy too
podcast episode.
Is people also chew tobacco all the time. So I think that guy must have just been talking out his keister.
You definitely throw up before you ate enough to die, right? I mean,
yeah, probably.
If I smoke too fast on a cigar, I'm throwing up.
Yeah, the nicotine sickness is so funny. This whole conversation, maybe I'll save him for my cigarette guy. He'll do it in honorable messages. The cigarette honorable mention. All right, let's go to pipes. I guess we'll do a little pipe action.
Yeah, we can do some pipe action. You want to start us off this time?
Yeah, for sure. This one was tough, dude, and this guy's not necessarily classic men's adventure fiction fare. I feel like he falls less into like your men's adventure fiction and more into kind of like your epics, and it would, I guess, be fantasy epics, because I'm going to go with Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, which I feel like we talked about this guy in passing before, but we've never done anything kind of long about it. But you keep seeing all these different things on Instagram. Like my brother sent me something, and it's Aragorn from the movie. He's looking studly as can be, and it was talking about like peak male form. And we talked the other day when we were talking about like Night of the Seven Kingdoms. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
And other Game of Thrones stuff and all this sort of stuff where it's like so much of fantasy, I think, gets too stuck on just this wide, massive cast, where you're following people, and a lot of times they are all enjoyable people. But I think maybe that's one of the things that shifts a lot of fantasy out of men's adventure fiction and into some other particular genre, is the narrative is so much wider and not quite as like tight, fast-paced story. So I would love to see some sort of Lord of the Rings. Like I enjoy Lord of the Rings as a whole just fine, but I think it would probably be one of my favorite things if it was just like following Aragorn on his adventures, and we were less worried about like the overarching stakes and all the like really, really multiple perspectives. Like I said, it's a classic, and I do really love the way that it is. But dude, Strider as a ranger back in the day, just going on adventures, would be like the sickest thing ever,
Sounds like you need a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms.
It does sound like I need some Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. But I don't think he smokes a pipe, does he?
No.
Yeah, dude.
Not that I know. Stuff. I mean, I don't remember him smoking a pipe. Which
is what's so sick, dude. When you first meet Aragorn in the movies, I actually have not read the book, so don't sue me. They're talking like, oh, there's a guy over there in the corner, and he's wearing the cloak, and he's got the hood up, dude, and he's sitting there smoking a pipe. It's just the sickest thing ever. And it's kind of like similar to the idea we were talking about before of like, there's the juxtaposition of the ultimate man of action, the ultimate capable man who's like so quick, so dangerous, so strong. But then he's doing this sort of like, a pipe is a fairly delicate tool, if you drop a pipe 9 times out of 10, done, it's broken. It's for sure got some sort of scuff and stuff on it. So to have like this ultimate rugged, dangerous guy smoking something that's like, you're not going to be able to stop a dagger attack with a pipe 9 times out of 10, like this is solely a thing of just like leisure. And someone I think I might have mentioned this before on the podcast. I was at a cigar like bonfire night, and I pulled out the pipe after I finished my stogie, and someone was like, man, I feel like when you're smoking a cigar you're ready to fire somebody, but when you smoke a pipe, like you're clearly just thinking, like, and that's what pipes do, is they allow you to think more. For sure you can think with a cigar. That was just a funny anecdote that guy came up with on the spot, but to have like, dude, just such a sick character who's mowing down orcs left and right, one of the best sword fighters of all time, and then just have him sitting there smoking a pipe, dude. Super sick. I think, in another point too, they've got the long church warden pipes, dude, and he like just sticks it in his belt right next to his sword. It's like, bro, that's how I want to be. I want to have the sword, my dagger, and then the pipe ready for the quick draw, like equally accessible. It's too sick.
Yeah, I never watched much of the Lord of the Rings. I've tried the first one a few times. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But I know that scene you're talking about where he's in the bar and he's smoking in the back. There's also, doesn't the other Gandalf guy also smoke a ginormous pipe? I always see that around as well. So the Lord of the Rings is kind of like a pipe story, I guess.
Yeah.
Was Tolkien a big pipe man himself?
Yeah, he was a huge pipe guy. What's crazy, dude, is he literally wrote a whole chapter of the book called Concerning Pipe Weed, which is like, in the book, it's clearly a strain of tobacco. So, don't worry about that. But yeah, he was obsessed with it, dude. It's super sick. Him and C.S. Lewis were both really big pipe guys. So nice. When they did the Inkling meetings, they would just smoke nonstop. You know, one of those guys is classically known for saying, "Every day I wake up in the morning, I thank God that I have yet another 24 hours of getting to smoke my pipe." So these guys were locked and loaded. Which, to your point of Lord of the Rings being kind of like a pipe-filled thing, the hobbits, who are known for being like classically afraid of adventure and very much like homebodies and just stay around, and only thing they concern themselves with is like gardening. Those guys are the ones who invented pipe smoking or found it out. And so even in universe, pipe smoking is kind of like locked into the idea of like a sedentary almost, or not willing to go too far on adventures, sort of just like keeping you safe. So to have it once again juxtaposed with this guy who is like the embodiment of danger is super cool, you know, and I think that it just lifts his character up so much into the idea of like, man, this is what it is to be like a man, with the idea of capable of great danger but chooses to be a good guy, and then also capable of like fast-paced movement, but takes his time and practices stillness, which I think is what you were talking about with like the cigar bar action, dude. In our lives, it's so hard to, we're just such rush. But going to the cigar bar, smoking a cigar, you're there for at least an hour and a half to get that stogie going, you know? So that is like a manual reset of like, okay, I don't have time to worry about the next thing that I have to do. I have to just sit here and be still and relax. And it's even more so with a pipe, dude, when you have to, I mean, I got a lighter right here, you know, like you got this guy, if the wind blows at all, you got to restart the light. And so you're trying to do that. You're trying to be patient. And if you get frustrated, pipe smoking may not be, like, if super easily frustrated, pipe smoking is not going to be your favorite thing, you know, because you have to do 3 or 4 relights at least during a bowl. You know, sometimes you can get one straight through. Sometimes you're relighting every like 5 minutes. So it's one of those things that just really, like, I don't know, practices that stillness, practices that meditative state, and kind of gets you just thinking and thinking. It's like, all right, I'm here to smoke a pipe and not be rushed, you know, and that's one of the only ways you can do it. So
it is kind of like a Zen meditative type of thing with the tamping and all that. And you can really lean into using it as like a mental reset, your pipe time. And it is, for a character's sake, I think we talked about this last time, it is a helpful, like, deepener, or like like a differentiation character factor. Yeah, it really makes him stick out. And it makes the viewer's mind start to spin of like, oh, there's a lot more to this guy than maybe what I thought. If you throw a pipe character in, or a pipe into a character that might not have figured you were going to see a pipe, like with Angel Eyes. Having like a cool bounty hunter guy in the Wild West have a pipe, it's just an extra level of like uniqueness, and then tells you something about that guy. And he wears very nice clothes in that, and he smokes the pipe. Dude. So you're like, this dude's a little interesting, you know. He's like a very comprehensive Renaissance man,
and he's not just like a brutish killer kind of guy.
yeah, it's interesting, and I think that is kind of how the pipe gets categorized, and I think that's why it weights a masculine character. It weighs them in a different direction. Is it's always seen as like the classy or the elegant or like the posh kind of Sherlock Holmes, like hoity-toity version of tobacco. Which is why for my character, I went with a character to show you that it is also not like it can be for the rugged as well. Like same with your choice. Popeye is who I picked because Popeye.
Let's go.
It's like the rugged sailor guy, smoking the corncob pipe, and it's just I know, there you go, dude. That's sick. But I think I always picture personally, like if my mind originally goes to people like Sherlock Holmes or some it's going to be a more classy setting for pipe a lot of the times. But I really like the use of it in an environment you wouldn't expect it, such as like a rough and tumble sailor. A sailor with a pipe is very classic stuff. Like a captain with a pipe is very classic. My favorite chapter in all of Moby Dick is called The Pipe, and it's
legend.
Captain Ahab, dude, just over the railing smoking his pipe, and it ends with him like throwing the tobacco out and stuff. And I was just like, that's so. They go together like bread and butter, dude. The water on the seas and pipes. I don't know why that is, or what brought that into the sailing community so much, but it is interesting, and I like the reminder that pipe smoking is not reserved for like when you're going fancy mode and you're all sitting down being classy. Like you can go take that bad boy onto an adventure.
Yeah, dude.
You should.
For sure, 100%. I think pipes. The reason pipes and sailing is so like connected is because that was how they were getting the tobacco across the ocean, in like the 1400s when they first really kind of found it in America and started bringing it back. And there's actually a blend called the Navy blend, which is like a subgenre, and usually it's some sort of Virginia tobacco, and they soak it in rum. And it's fantastic because that's what they would do. They would take the tobacco back, and by the time they got back, it would just be dust. And so I think we might have talked about this before on an episode. So they would literally just pour like casks of rum on it so that it would maintain, and then they would press it really hard. So you would get at the end, you'd have to twist it into ropes, which the ropes are super sick. You'd have to cut it off with your super sharp sailor knife, dude, which is just fantastic. So yeah, I agree, dude. Popeye is a great choice because I feel like I've seen him fight people with the pipe clenched in his
this
mouth,
dude won't let it go. Which his jaw's got to be crazy, dude. I don't know if you guys have ever just held a pipe in your mouth for a while. Ow, you know what I mean? My jaw starts to hurt. It does not feel good. Like when we were taking a picture that as on your Instagram, and Casey just kept retaking it, dude, and I was like, dude, my jaw's gonna fall off. Take the picture. You know what I mean? Like, come on, having the jaw clenched over a. That's so funny.
Just too strong.
So Popeye's jaws are out of control.
Dude, Popeye's just out of control in general, dude. The guy's got the forearms of like most.
He's got your forearms, bro.
No, dude, I'm hard. No one's got Popeye forearms. Those are insane.
It is the wildest character design, just to have the fattest forearms known to man, dude.
It's super interesting too. What's up with the spinach propaganda, bro?
I don't know. Is it you have to eat your vegetables, bro? Like,
I guess
getting kids to munch down on spinach.
Too funny.
Is he taken from Sailor Steve Costigan? Is that like a theory?
I don't know.
Is that how that works?
I've wondered about that. I feel like the character design is kind of similar, but who knows?
But maybe they're just two different sailors.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just looking into it too much. But if you guys haven't read Sailor Steve Costigan, very sick character.
Dude, fantastic stuff. He's a super cool guy. There was something else I was thinking too, dude, of like, the idea of the pipe on the adventure. I think that's for sure a good thing. Like, the one thing the Hobbits got right, I think, is gardening while you're pipe smoking, dude. It elevates the experience so much. It elevates. Awesome. Well, I don't know if it elevates pipe smoking too much, but it elevates gardening for sure. I'm not a huge gardener, and I don't. It's not like my favorite thing to do. But dude, if I'm like digging in the dirt, planting some plants or weeding, just having a pipe there to kind of like redeem that situation, it's fantastic. Which gets to the idea of like, I think something that's so lost in our society today is just smoking while you do things, because usually you can't. But if you're outside, there's no reason not to just clunk a little pipe there and get the jaw strength up, dude. Just chomping down on that bad boy. Like if you're going out, like I would go outside and play with the dogs for like 10, 15, 20 minutes. It's like, why am I not just smoking a pipe every time I do that, Because that's the one thing that the pipe has for sure over the cigar, is if I smoke a cigar for 20 minutes, and then I leave it be, that thing's going to be unbearably bad tasting in like 3 hours. Like you just can't salvage that. But I could load up a bowl of pipe tobacco in the morning. Anytime I go outside for like 10 minutes, smoke that, and there's actually a whole technique in the pipe smoking sphere called the delayed gratification technique. So some people will literally light the pipe, take like 3 or 4 puffs, and then let it sit for 24 hours, and then they'll smoke it the next day, because the way that the fire affected the bowl from the first few puffs and then it drying out more causes like a weird way of sort of faux aging the tobacco, because the longer you have tobacco, the better it tastes. So doing this sort of delayed gratification technique is a weird way to like shift things enough that it tastes different and adds richness to the blend in different ways. It for sure takes away aspects as well, because you have like slightly more charred tobacco that's a little smokier. But super interesting stuff. I don't know a ton about it, so you can look up the delayed gratification technique a little more. But the whole idea, dude, of pipe tobacco is just good all the time, like no matter how long it goes between smokes. So pretty cool.
Dude, the depth on that kind of stuff, like you were mentioning, like you can go so unbelievably deep into the world of tobacco in general. Do you think this is what causes the weird internal civil wars between pipe and cigar guys? Is it that they're like so certain that their version of the biochemistry of why smoking it this way is better is what like makes one guy be like, no, you can't smoke that because that ruins the tobacco. You got to do this. Is that where these rifts come from, dude? Because pipes and cigar guys should be best friends, and they're not.
They should. Yeah, I don't know. It's even tricky too, because as with any hobby, you can get to some sort of like, oh, you're not doing it my way. Screw you. Like I feel like the gun community can for sure be similar to that, and like, oh, you're carrying that sort of gun.
Boxing community, any community.
Yeah. So I think that the same thing, even within the cigar community, of like, oh, you're smoking a flavored cigar, you're not a real cigar smoker. There's less nuance of the idea of like, maybe I smoke the flavored cigars for dessert, and I smoke like a big old peppery guy for like my steak, and then it's like, I'm smoking 2 cigars and you're only smoking 1, so who's the real cigar smoker now? Like who knows? I don't really care if you're smoking. You're a friend of mine, That's kind of how I look at it. But the actual like wider shift between cigars and pipes, I don't know. I have an article coming out in one of the Timber and Smoke magazines that talks about this idea of like, the pipe sphere is so much smaller. I think cigars and pipes included make up only 9% of all tobacco sales in the whole entire world. So very small.
Is it all cigs?
I guess it's all cigs and chewing tobacco and like snuff. Maybe I don't know. It's crazy that
a lot of dippers out there.
And I don't know how much that works with are Zins considered tobacco products?
I don't know.
Probably not, but I think they're made by the people who make all the pipes and cigars.
Right.
So who knows? But pipes are significantly less than the 9%. Like that 9% is primarily cigars. So even just from literally exclusively like a lobbying perspective, cigars in the cigar industry has kept pipe smoking alive, because the FDA has been going after like flavored cigars and flavored tobaccos because they feel like that is more of a thing that pulls children into it. And so the cigar companies have been like, no, it's not. These are not marketed towards kids at all. They're just a different aspect of cigars for adults, which I think has helped out with the aromatic pipe tobacco, because there's like peaches and cream pipe tobacco. There's raspberry, strawberry, chocolate, vanilla stuff. So for sure, I feel like that would have just been taxed to like 300%, so it would be impossible to buy, if the FDA had its way. So the idea of, I think that it's important that pipe smokers start recruiting cigar smokers. It's significantly easier, I think, to recruit a cigar smoker than it would be to recruit a non-smoker. A non-smoker is like, no, I'm not doing that. And then they're not used to even the mindset of not inhaling the tobacco. You're just tasting it and then blowing it out, or lighting it or taking your time with a cigar. So I think that there should not, like to your point, there should be no rift. I don't know why there is one, but
strange.
it should
friends.
be.
What do you guys do?
Yeah, every cigar smoker should enjoy a pipe from time to time, and every pipe smoker should enjoy a cigar from time to time, just if only to get a new avenue of enjoying tobacco, So,
Right.
But I digress. I think though that whole idea of like, dude, we need more pipe smokers in the world. We need more cigar smokers in the world. So, yeah, there you go.
Yes, sir.
Which takes us to probably the least
accepted by the community.
Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say savory,
The black sheep, dude.
We were talking about, dude, the hand rolled pipe tobacco cigarettes are actually peak. Like, there's no. I wish I knew. I need to just buy some rolling papers and do that because it's fantastic, dude. It's so good, and to add like the element of smoking them faster, like you don't have to be sitting there. Even a pipe, like we talked about, you can do short spurts with a pipe, but to actually have something that you can get start to finish from in like 5 to 15 minutes, there's something to that, So, you wanna go first? You got the old cigarette guy for me?
Yeah, I'm gonna not pick who I said I did because I feel like I want to go a different route. I feel like it's a cheating route, maybe, but I'm gonna cheat. Okay, I want to go with the Marlboro Man because it doesn't get better than that with the cigs.
Yeah, dude.
Because first off, I don't think that guy actually ever smoked, which is hilarious. The real Marlboro Man, but it definitely captures. Yeah, it definitely captures the romanticism of what all the companies lobbying against cigarettes were like, please, no, we got to get rid of it because it makes everybody want to smoke, dude. It makes babies want to smoke. You see this guy doing all these crazy adventures, being the most like Americana stud you've ever seen. And that's what's cool about in our case, the rolled pipe tobacco cigarettes, because I don't smoke cigarettes. But it's that fact that you can do literally whatever and be doing it. Like I think I would love to smoke a pipe and cut my grass. Can't, but I can put pipes tobacco in a cigarette and smoke that while I'm cutting the grass. Like it's you see him like farming. You see him on a horseback. You see him like if you go to the other guy too. What's the other cigarette brand? Camel's another guy. Like you'll see him on a jungle adventure, dude. Got the lasso being Indiana Jones.
The one time he's got the like plain propeller over his shoulder, dude, in the desert.
Like you can do anything you need with that clamped in the teeth, and you're just going to be enjoying yourself to Nathaniel's point, like redeeming whatever is going on. You can be in any situation and clamp that bad boy in there, and it's great. Those around you will be like, "Why is this guy smoking? What are you doing?" But if you can be in a place where you are able to smoke like that, dude, it just makes the enjoyment of everything so much better. Even if it is just for that romanticism of it, of feeling like the hero for a minute, because dude, we've been propagandized forever of cigarettes being cool guy stuff. Like, that's just how it worked.
Yeah, dude, that's for sure a fantastic point. I mean, I think we talked last time about like Chester Drum doing a super rigorous activity, like running somewhere, and he's like, "Damn, I needed a cigarette." So there is like actually. It is some sort of upper, kind of like a coffee sort of thing. Like I need a coffee, So for sure, it is part of the adventure fuel, and I think that it has been just ripped to shreds for years, for good reason, because people are
for good reason. The actual cigarettes are not good, dude. They've got stuff that's not tobacco in it. You know what I mean? They got like jet fuel and stuff in there. It's like, dude, what do we do? It's gross.
It ain't right.
You got to get more pure with the cigs.
But your idea, dude, just having, like you said, an avenue that's more straightforward, like I'm at, obviously rolling a cigarette is not the easiest thing of all time, but if you got like a little cigarette case, dude, filled with rolled pipe tobacco cigarettes, dude, fantastic. You can whip that out anywhere. So I think that is,
because I can't smoke a cigar at that pace or I will throw up. You know what I mean? That's why I've the times I've found myself smoking those rolled cigarettes, it's like, it is that perfect in between of, it's like the cigar, it takes too much time. Like it's it's a different thing for me at
The
least.
cadence.
I've always, it's
Right.
it's a cadence thing. If I like talking to people while doing it, I'm take my time, because when I try to rip one, like I'm ripping a cig, dude, throwing up instantly.
Game
and then
over.
the cigar, it's like I need my hands, and if it's a situation where I can't have my hands on at all times, because I'm not a great pipe smoker. I've never tamped anything in my life. I've heard the term. I don't know. I don't have one. I don't know. So mine's going out constantly, to Nathaniel's point. So I'm like relighting all the time.
Yeah.
So for me, the rolled cigarette's fantastic because I can do it quickly, not throw up, and use both my hands. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so there's practicality to it.
Yeah, for sure. To that point too, of the idea of like, you can do I think a pipe's probably the best for like just clenching and not getting a ton of smoke in your face. But dude, every time that I've ever tried to do something with both hands with a cigar, I'm like gagging and coughing at the end. Like, even if it's like 30 seconds, I'm like I'm having to hold my breath. I'm running out of breath. Smoke is just right in my eyes, and I don't know what it is about. Like, I guess the cigar is just like only this long, so the smoke is just coming right back at you, dude. But with a pipe, for sure, I'm right there with you. Like, you can clench, but usually every time I'm hiking or doing something with a pipe, I feel like I'm puffing too fast to keep it lit, and I start getting overheated, start getting a little tongue bite action. So yeah, dude, I'm gonna have to start hand rolling some cigarettes to keep in my cigarette case and just rock and roll with that. That's a genius idea, dude.
Because, dude, if it goes out, if you realize the cadence is getting off, you could just tuck it behind your ear or something and come back to it. It's like, it's not going to go anywhere. It's good stuff.
Well, I think one of my favorite of the Camel ads is it's like a line of Range Rover Defender looking guys, and all the guys are just sitting like on top smoking cigarettes, and it's fantastic.
So dude, those ads are unreal. Best advertising ever is for cigs.
I think I was telling you about I went to Giant or something, and I was talking to like someone at the return counter, and behind them they had the whole thing of cigarettes, and they started. I didn't know they were allowed to do this, but they had Cowboys on the Marlboro cartons, and I was like, "Bro, is peak advertising coming back?"
Right? Are we telling our kids to smoke correctly again?
Are we back to the glorious times, dude? That's too.
So we can all be the guy from Mad Men, dude. Don.
Yeah, dude. Don.
He's another great cig guy.
Yeah, nonstop. But we can jump over to my guy, which I think we've talked about him before, but not for this series. But I'm gonna go with this guy right here, dude.
Dude,
did we talk about him for an episode before?
Oh, we've got to have mentioned him before. But
yeah, my guy last time though was Mannix.
It was not that.
Carver's freaking sick. If you guys haven't read it, it's written in. I think he does the art and the writing. I don't know if there's another artist who helps, maybe like with the lettering or something like that. Chris Hunt, the guy behind Code of the West. So I think this is his passion project. He would like to do more with it, but it kind of fell off because of how big Code of the West got. Sort of like out of the blue for him is what it seems like. But super sick, dude. He's a World War I vet who kind of goes through the Spencer Dutton, Tristan Ludlow sort of thing of like he can't quite process what happened during the war, and so he's not going back home. So he becomes a mercenary, and he ends up in Paris, dude, and just the sickest adventure ensues. It's so good. But that guy's always smoking some cigs, dude, and I think that this one differently than like you were talking about, the pipe is a little more like unexpected when you have a man of action, and the cigar is like, okay, yeah, this is like something that a man of action does in his leisure time, but there is nothing more like linked to action heroes, I feel like, than them just smoking cigarettes, because for so long, I mean, from the Cowboys all the way to the 1960s, kind of like that golden era of adventure, everybody was smoking cigarettes, so it's so like linked to the mind of like, yeah, this guy's gonna blast someone down in a quick draw and then just immediately light up a cigarette, or
Right.
Bond's going to be lighting up that cigarette at the table right as he's saying his name. The Bond, James Bond from Connery. Like classic stuff. So I think that just like this guy is a classic action hero, and people don't know enough about it, but to have that, like, I mean, he's got a shoulder holster. He's wearing the 3-piece suit, dude. He's smoking the cigarette in Paris, France, and then he's just beating the heck out of people. There's a whole bar full of mercenaries that he has to fight off at one time with a bottle and a knife. It's just so sick. So, yeah, that's my cigarette guy.
Yeah, great choice, dude. It is the ultimate action hero one, and it is most fitting to the action, you know what I mean? To your point, like,
right.
I brought up Briggs last time. It's like a dude who's unhinged and ready to rock and roll, dude. He's going to be chiefing cigs while he's jumping on top of your squad car and like,
dude,
jumping off to go onto the bad guy's car. Like, it is the choice of an action hero, and has always been, like you said, it is linked to this genre. Probably under the surface for nefarious reasons. I'm sure they had like money going across hands of like, you guys need to make sure he's smoking on screen at least 30 minutes because, like, I'm sure that kind of happened, but it's baked into all those films, the noirs. Are you kidding me? How many cigs do they rip in noirs? And it's not just the movies. You read a Sam Spade book or something like that, dude. Every 30 pages, he's like, I rolled a cigarette. It's like unbelievable how many times this dude's just rolling cigs or like plucking a cig.
Or so it is, using his cigarette butt to light the next one, dude. The chain smoke, full on chain smoking, bro. Insane.
And to the character writing stuff, we've talked about this before, but cigs can be really used to that effect greatly, I think, of like how fast he's smoking these or how many he's smoking, or there's so much you can say without saying it in how they're smoking their cigarette. There's like so many nonverbal social cue things that people can pick up, just by describing the way the cigarette was smoked or not smoked.
Yeah, dude, well said. Which reminds me, to my honorable mention is going to be Luke Goodish's Thomas Redford, dude. Freaking sick. There's a little thing we have on the pipeline that right now working title is 3 of a Kind. Super excited about it, but there's a scene there with the cigarette interactions, and it's just peak stuff. It'll have you laughing, it'll have you crying from joy, because it's just so well written, and it does get the idea of kind of like the man of action needing the cigarette option. I don't know. There's just something too classic about it. So well written thing. Hopefully you guys get to see that pretty soon. It's super cool.
Which of your stories would you point to? Obviously, all of them have tobacco in it, but if someone was like, I really need tobacco heavy, which book of yours would you read?
That's a great question. I think that my first thought is the working title, Julius, They Hardly Know Us, because the opening sequence talks, like, as he's getting the information for the case, he's going back and forth about, like, in his mind about what he's smoking as the case is being revealed, which I thought was interesting, because he's with a beautiful woman, and so he starts smoking an aromatic to kind of, like, not make the room smell too terrible and sort of, like, keep up appearances, which is interesting, but unfortunately, that one is getting submitted to the Clive Cussler Adventure Writers Competition and will not be out for quite some time. So one that is more readily accessible, I think, would have to be the International Enforcement, a Sal Coltellino novel, which you can find exclusively in the first run of Veritas Doubles. There's 2 of those coming out. At time of this going live, they may have just come out, or they may be about to come out. But super excited. I don't know if we want to dive into those guys a little bit.
Yeah, we definitely can.
We were able to. So I'm with Terrence. I have International Enforcement. He has the Midas game, and we worked with Sean McGraw from Typhoon Tales to get the art edited, and then Faith, Terrence's wife, made fantastic cover design using that art and using some amazing skills, and it looks so good. We did a split screen, so right down the middle diagonally is the break, and then you have International Enforcement and the Midas game. Cover reveal was done on the Veritas Instagram. It looks fantastic. You can hop on Amazon and check it out because by this time it'll be listed. Truly exceptional stuff. His is a really, really well written con game, and it is so good. I love Me the Con Man story. And then International Enforcement is like, I didn't want to go the regular route that you'd go with the Mafia stuff. So Sal is caught up in this big issue in it, and someone very important in the Mafia family dies, and he's kind of held responsible even though it wasn't him, and so he has to go on this long adventure to find out who was behind it and get to the bottom of it. And there's some returning faces if you're a fan of the Veritas work, so you want to check that book out for sure. Super high action. I think it's pretty high adventure too, so it's a little twist on the classic crime genre. So you'll have something with the con man story that's very much like just iconic crime story, fantastic, and then you have something that's a little more like out there, but also crime for sure. But you want to talk about?
What would you say Sal's signature tobacco would be? What do you think that man's favorite is?
Everything in there. It starts with him smoking a pipe. He smokes a cigar a couple times, but to your point, dude, there's a ship captain that he rolls up to. First time you meet that guy, he's just chomping on a stogie, and then they smoke stogies together. And then he has a family member who has an African tobacco farm, and he rolls his own cigarettes with like high quality African pipe tobacco. So he's got the trifecta, bro.
He's got it all, dude.
That guy's smoking like a chimney
tobacco himself. Yeah. He could be the Marlboro Man for all types of tobacco.
Maybe, dude. We'll have to run a bunch of book ads that are fake ads for Sal pushing cigars and pipe tobacco. It's genius.
It's beautiful.
Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, dude, they had whatever Leo's characters had the Apple cigarettes or whatever it was, and at the end of the ad he's like, "These are terrible. What are you making me?" But you can jump into your guys' duel. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, dude. I got to work with Jeff Pintabona, who you've seen him on the podcast, or maybe you read his work that we've had featured. He's an incredible writer and kind of like scholar of everything literary. You talk to the guy, sure. It's just genius level when it comes to genre and fiction. So especially with the Western genre, he kind of did Shootout in Sharpsburg, which is a classic Western. It kind of feels like the 1960s television shows that you'd see with a very like classic, unique character with a very unique weapon that maybe not reveal. Maybe I'll let you read it and see what his weapon is. But it's cool that it's like something you don't see too often, but it's a signature weapon that will it'll make for some of the coolest action. And if this character continues, which I believe is the plan, it's like,
dude, he's supposed to be a very long running character, so buckle up. He's going to be the sickest.
So yeah, it's an exciting new adventure from Jeff that feels like a different take on than his other two Westerns. If you've read his previous two, this is like a different flavor of that, and he shows his skills in this version, this classic Western. And then for mine, I did The River Job, which is kind of a play on the Italian Job title because it is a heist story in the Wild West. And so you can read that for kind of just like a crew versus crew.
Yeah, it's really good.
Heist,
really well done.
Type mafia adjacent Western story.
Yeah,
so I'm excited for that, dude.
Both of these are so masterfully done. Of like Shootout in Sharpsburg, for sure. I think at this point in time, it's so far removed from the 60s sort of serials that there's nothing like it being written. Nobody's writing classic Westerns, and that's my favorite genre of the Western. Is like you're more 1950s, 1960s. They're not super worried about the gritty realism. They're more worried about just telling a good old American story, and that's what this one's fantastic. Shootout in Sharpsburg has that, and then yours being another take on the Western that I feel like that's what's so tough about cowboy stories is people are so locked into sort of like 4 or 5 set trajectories. So to have two coming out in one issue novel, I guess. I don't know how you would refer to these. One duel that both totally break the mold on how to think of modern Western storytelling, dude. incredible. I'm so excited for people to get these. So you guys did a great job.
You guys as well.
Exciting.
The Crime Duel and the Western Duel are available April 28th, I believe is the date.
Yeah, April 28th.
If that has happened already, you can grab it. If it hasn't, mark your calendars too.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you guys to check it out. It's very fun stuff.
And it's just crazy to have, like, you wouldn't think we'd be able to keep up this pace, but we've got these two coming out, and then right on their heels, dude, the top 4 from Men's Adventure Fiction May. So
Which
it's just
unbelievable. So good. The best stories, dude. So sick.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome.
It's one of those things that you're like, oh, they're still doing it. You know, like they're still writing the stories that we love. Which, to that point, if you've ever worried, is the Men's Adventure Fiction podcast going to end? No, because these guys keep writing the stories that we'll be able to talk about till the end of time, you know? So, super, super excited. I think that we saw this the first year, and to see the Men's Adventure Fiction May 2 have the same thing, like, okay, people get it. People still understand this genre, and they still are passionate about it and love it. It's so exciting and encouraging to have that as, like, I don't know, just to fall back on, you know?
Yeah, it really does. It just feels so good, because I wrote Fire in the Tall Grass before we like connected and stuff, thinking, I have to fill this gap of stuff that I want that doesn't exist now. That's annoying. I have to write it for myself, which is never as good. And then I meet you, and I'm like, oh, this guy also doing it. And then opening the gates to Men's Adventure Fiction May, like, dude, reading some of these, it was like, whoa, this is exactly like the thing I would want written in the real world now. Like, someone did it. Like, this is right here. And this is awesome. So it's exactly the stories that I thought we would have to write ourselves, but are actually still out there from other incredible writers who would do it better and more uniquely than I could ever think to do it. And so it's like, it's great to be the reader of that, not just have to be the writer, you know, try to keep it alive yourself. It's so good to consume these stories. So appreciate everybody who is writing them and submitting them.
To that point too, when you were talking about like how you thought you were alone in trying to do this, you would have had to figure out a way to even pitch the genre, you know, of like, it's kind of like a thriller, but kind of not, you know, like it would be, but now that there's so many people who get it and understand it, and it's kind of having like a full-on resurgence at this point. It's like, oh, I don't have to explain it much, you know. It's like, oh yeah, it's pulp, it's men's adventure fiction, you know. And people are like, oh yeah, I've been hearing a lot more about this recently. And I think that's a great point too, of the idea of like, this is not any sort of brag, but our output over the last year and a half has been crazy, just from you and me as like personal writers, you know. And we talk all the time about the creative tank and emptying that, and that's why it's like your responsibility as a writer, as a storyteller, to be intaking other forms of content, because that's going to synergistically create new things in your mind. If you're just writing and never experiencing new stories or new experiences outside in the world, then you're never going to be able to keep writing at that pace. So to have this like coming together of like, oh man, this guy's writing something super sick, that can trigger something in your mind that's not necessarily even similar, but like a concept can now work plugged into a different form, and you can grow together as a writing community. It's the same thing that we were super lucky to get advanced copies of Skyring Water, the new Louis L'Amour, Beau L'Amour novel. Fantastic. But there's stuff in there that for sure is like, oh, this idea, this concept is going to play a role in future stuff that I write, of just like thinking about, I've never thought of something that way. This opens a whole new path of my mind, because that's what good storytelling does. That's what reading other people does for you. So I think that to that point of like, yeah, dude, it's so nice that we're not just sitting there like, the world needs men's adventure fiction. It's you and me, and we just have to be like,
it's up to us. No, it's not. Dude, there's people out there ready to take the call.
Yeah, dude.
It's so good.
It's super cool. So you got a lot of fun stuff coming for the rest of this month coming up. So enjoy.
Hold on. We're going to stop for a second to make a special announcement. We are in the midst of Men's Adventure Fiction May, and we have to announce the third place winner. Nathaniel, you want to let him know who is taking the third place?
the third place winner is London Baker with American Pines. It's an incredible, kind of small town noir. It's fantastic stuff. You guys are in for a treat when you check this one out. But congratulations, London. Fantastic work. Great book.
Nicely done, man. Now back to our regular scheduled programming.
But other than that, I think we're squared away.
Yes, sir. This was fun.
Okay.
Thank you guys for being here.
Is.
Go get the pipes, the cigars, the what? What do you need?
I guess I gave a cigar recommendation. Let me give a quick pipe tobacco recommendation. Something super accessible. It's still available. It's if you're a big pipe person and you already smoke all the time, you've heard about this a million times, and you're probably like, what are you bringing that one up for? But I'll do Colt Blood Red Moon is a cherry aromatic, and it is like the classic, most quintessential cherry aromatic these days. So if you want something that's going to smell really good, which is nice to do outside in springtime, because everybody's going to be out there, and that's going to get people coming over like, man, what is that thing that smells so good? And you'll be like, this, my friend, is a pipe, and I'm smoking some cherry tobacco. And then for a cigarette, dude, I would just say roll your own, get some rolling papers and buy. You could even use that cherry tobacco, or you could get something like, you could go online and look for specific components at like Pipes and Cigars or smokingpipes.com. If you get something that's like basic burley, I think PS 41, which is Peter Stokkebye 41, is the cube cut burley. That might be pretty good if you really like took the cube cut and did this so that it all got a little like finer on the
whole new language to me too. I don't know what we're saying. But
and then another one that would probably be a good one, because shag cuts are a different, finer cut of tobacco. Yeah, dude, exactly. Try Penny Farthing by GLPs. I don't know how that would smoke in a rolled up cigarette, but it's worth a try. It's a really good blend. So there you go. I digress. Little tobacco recommendations to take you out of
awesome,
the episode.
I love it.
Cool. Well, thank you guys
for your expertise. Thank you guys for joining us. Take care.